Hey guys, this is Colonial. This should be the beginning of episode 1 for you, which means there's an episode 0 before, but this is in fact the first one I'm recording in my chronological order here because I've decided that this game might be worth recording at the present time. So this is the first time I've been on YouTube personally in around 5 years. I'm now 35 and old, and I'm just trying to get back into Dominions after about a 5-year hiatus. So I've lost a number of games because things have changed, but this is my turn too. So I'm just discovering right now that I have a really powerful start here. I have some Crystal Amazons and Lizard Warriors in my cap circle on top of this weird thing, which I should have already mentioned, and this library over here. So I'm going to have a huge amount of power right in the center of whatever empire I manage to build here. So I figured that there's a good chance I don't get bum rushed from being an old noob on turn 8 or whatever, and it might be worth recording this game because it's a fun game. One thing I've decided over the 3-day turns is that I think I am going to go for this strategy of running to Alt 4. Alt 4 will give me Wind Guide, which means I can have a quite a bit more powerful army with just a single small mage in tow. It'll give me destruction on its own, inefficient destruction. And then once I have this, once I can get up to Conjuration 3, it opens up Curse of Stones as well, and it opens up... Oh, excuse me, it doesn't open up anything else. I was thinking about something that's in the Dominions Enhanced mod, but I'm not playing with that mod. So I'll get Wind Guide. I can run around with archers with a single Air 2 and be a bit more powerful. I'll have some real teeth on the Earth side of things, and then I can do a bit of fun with Blight, Arouse Hunger, Woven Winters possibly. So I think this is a good thing to go to up front. Once I have this, I will have my main army will be not a complete pushover, but I'll still be mostly working with side armies that don't have any mages at all, and it will be highly efficient in terms of I can run a war while still keeping all of my mages, with one except one, at home doing their thing, developing my economy. So that's my plan. I'm hoping that by turn 13 I will be able to get up to Alteration 4. I have an entire plan in place, but it's going to require that I tap some of this abilities that I'm getting from the weird game I'm playing. I kind of have a mind to, instead of trying to fort up all of these and then I have 4 forts in my cap circle, I will just mine these guys from the ground. So all of them will be coming out every 2 turns, but that's 3 exotic mages coming out every 2 turns. That's more than an extra free fort that I'm not paying any of the high time and gold costs of building forts with. So I'm going to have, eventually, hopefully, with the giant map, I will be in a position to defend my cap circle without forting it up, and then I can have a lot of production of mages coming out of my fields around my capital, but that'll require field temples in particular, which will be tricky. So let's see how that goes. Now I've been talking to some people on Discord, and Red Rob has told me that if you have something like this, if you manage to acquire a castle in an independent province, the province is basically entirely undefended right now. All these guys, who are themselves not very strong, live inside the castle, and this ginormous income here is entirely undefended. So my play is going to be, instead of running with him off to dick around trying to find people, I'm going to do this. Don't mind me, my computer's pretty bad. So he is going to single-handedly try and get me an enormous income. And this is why the castle is amazing. And in fact, apparently, he can even just do this. In case there's some funny business, I won't even lose my scout. Whereas my starting army can go take a real province. I think I'm going to go for this one. This is the best gold to power ratio in my cap circle. But once I've basically almost doubled my gold income on turn 2, then I'm going to be happily grabbing these little scrappy guys and just building out my footprint. So that's basically my plan at the present time. But as they say, plans are useless and planning is indispensable. So let's roll the turn and see how useless this plan turns out to be. See you guys in like a day. Hey again, guys. It's turn 3. Looks like the turns are hosting every 36 hours, so I'll be doing this every day. The fort at Thornwood went as Red Rob suggested. The one scout was unopposed, so we'll look at that in a minute. But we have a battle here. I've got a bunch of little guys who have lances. And they are fighting a bunch of other little guys. And my computer is going real slow, so I apologize for that. But hopefully this will be not too difficult. Yeah, there. They just drop in. We need to kill this. There he goes. That guy who was there. So now they should be routed. And in fact, they're all dead. So that is good. Now, if we look at the turn, so this one it had 200 gold. Now it's jumped down to 50 because I got an event that gave it unrest, and apparently I'm not getting the. So when you hold the fort, you get the administrative value. It doubles the income, but when you have unrest 47, it halves the income. So I was hoping for 200 free gold. I got 51 free gold. That's still fine. This one is also quite a bit more gold because it has an arena. So everything's fine over there. The problem for me is that I haven't really increased my resources at all. So what I'm going to do is keep pumping out these guys. I'm getting like 1 or 2 extra guys. Yeah, like 1 extra guy maybe from this turn. So what I'd like to do is take this, which has a big pile of barbarians. I'm going to hit it with everything I have. I've been running some tests, and it looks like I win, but there's a chance I get beaten in doing it. So everyone jumps to this, which will hopefully give me some resources. I was thinking about grabbing this province, but now it looks really well defended, so that'll be a while before I take that one. Also, I suspect I'm not going to bother with these lizards for a while, so I'd like to take that, and then next turn go for this library and use it to increase my resource as fast as I can. I have a lot of leftover gold, so I think the play will be to try and grab the mercs. The mercs aren't that great, and there are of course 57 of us, so there's a pretty good chance I don't get them. But it's worth a shot, and if I get the mercs, that will put me in a better position to hit the farmland next turn with a front line. These mercs basically, they have really bad armor but big swords, so they're kind of stupid, but they might be all that I need to keep the cavalry from hitting my generals while my birds take them out. So I'll go for the mercs, and I'll go for the small hills next door to my capital. And that should be it for this turn. And eventually I want to grab all this stuff over here, so starting to push. I don't really want to keep pushing this way. I'd rather start pushing somehow this way. So that's more or less where I stand for this turn. I'll see you guys in a second. Hey guys, this is turn 4. And if you recall, I had a bit of a dangerous battle going for the foothills south of my capital. So let's start out by taking a look at that one. So I don't think I scripted this as well as I could have. There's a fairly meaty chunk of barbarians right here, and I decided to go with attacking them in the front. My idea was I could take out the generals in the back, but they still run into me, and I have to basically fight them all in that case. So if I hit them in the front, then they might be able to run away and avoid me, and I save some blood, some dead guys. But when I was doing my tests, there was some of the times I got away with minimal casualties, some of the times I got a lot of casualties. And this particular time when it was real, it looks like, I mean, they are running away, as you can see. So that's a good thing, but I did eat quite a substantial amount of casualties, which is not something I can afford too much of, let's say. So I win the battle, which is excellent because the province is a big deal for me in terms of resources for my capital. But I lose 21 guys out of 39, so I'm down to 18. The raptors are still there. So let's take a look at the actual turn. So one of the good things as well is I get a wind spire. This doubles my air income as Calum. Starting with 1 air income is the worst, so going up to 2 is really nice. And more importantly, or equally as importantly, I've been producing 13 of these spire horns a turn. With this new province, I'm able to jump up to 23 of them. So in fact, I lost 21 men, but I'll be able to repay that in 2 turns and then be in the black for troops. But the problem is because I have no troops right now, I want to change it up. I do have a load of gold right now because I didn't win those indies because of 57 players. But what I can do with my gold is this. So I'm thinking I do that. I get an entire division of mammoths, and a division of mammoths will hopefully put me in a good position to be taking this province next turn, which is where I want to be. But just because my ambition didn't really pay off, it's no reason to stop with the audacious expansion. In Dominions, fortune, like they say, fortune favors the bold. In Dominions, fortune really, really favors the bold. So I'm going to try and go for 2 lighter provinces this turn. I'm going to go for this, foothills down here. It won't help me with resources, but foothills are also good because they have a good number of air sites. So just holding the mountains in the long term is going to be viable. Now, I still have 13 guys over here. This is a very scrawny force, but I'm going to go for it. At first I was thinking of taking this province. This province, it's about 50% of the time I get no losses, 50% of the time I lose. But now I'm thinking of going for this province. Its income is dire, its resources are dire, but what it has going for it is it exposes a lot of provinces that I want to my expansion next turn. And it'll be a good one to have. Those resources will feed into my capital. I'll get like half to 1 new guys out of that province. And during my testing, I'm doing pretty well at actually winning the thing. So I'm going to try for those 2 provinces. I'll still want this one later, but not just yet. In fact, if I could get that one and that one, that would be very nice. But I really am keen on expanding up into this farmland up here with its river border in the short term. So that'll be what my mammoths are going to go running towards. And then pushing in that direction is going to be also pretty valuable. In terms of my mage, I'm going to get a caretaker. That's another non-cap only mage, but he is a priest, and he is going to be in charge of running around building labs and temples. So that's more or less where I stand this turn. Hopefully the mammoths won't be a foolish play. I'm going to try to go for max out how many commanders I'm grabbing because I want to have a good supply of them. In fact, I don't quite have the gold for this particular gambit, so I'm going to pull back 1 spire horn that was incomplete anyway. That'll give me the gold to produce a barbarian chief. They're garbage, but having 1 won't hurt. And give myself my 1 piece of defense right there. And that'll be the turn. I'll see you guys on turn 5. Hey guys, this is turn 5. And I have tried 2 real expansions for the first time. We can take a look. This is the lizards. And it's a terrible province, but it's in a good position to hold. And I'm giving it a really tiny amount of troops. So that is the general's gun. They're routed. But there's still a bunch of lizards, and I'm in their way from running away, and I'm getting my ass kicked. So they routed, but I also routed. The way it ends up looking is I lose basically everything. My Raven Lord does not run, so I'm getting the province, but I lose 10 out of 13, and all of my retreating troops die. So I lost everything except the Lord, but I got the province. So that's basically the bad case scenario I had in mind. Now we can look at this one. Oops. Okay, a bit of a bigger troop. First time I guess I'm attacking tribesmen. The smites are pretty effective as well, much more so than his arrows. Alright, so this one here is much more of a what I was optimistic about achieving there. That's his general gone, that's everyone gone. So this time, I only lost 2 Spire Horns to take them out. So here's what it ends up looking at. I get my first alteration. I'm hoping to get up to level 4, like I said, by the time around when my god comes out. But I'm still a bit slow there. So I'm up to 6 provinces. This one I win it. He's alone. He's going to come back and regroup. But I now have my mammoths. They're like a synthetic mercenary because it's impractical to try and get the mercenaries with 58 people on the map. But I'm dropping everything on this. Last turn it looked like there were 70 calves. Now there's 30. But it's still, I'm going to drop a 70 worth of people on it because I think it's worth gambling the inefficiency because I really like the province, especially since I'm also moving this guy here because I'd like to start the library pumping as soon as possible. So I'm just doing the one expansion, but it's going to get me 125 gold income. I now have a couple of indie generals coming along. This guy is going to join the fight just because he might be needed to break it apart next turn. So that's going to be a pretty serious fight. I also have this guy is now free to do his thing. And what I think I'm going to do with him is go check out what's going on over here. I can now see some enemy candles over here. Even there, so he could well be in this province or in this province or like somewhere like that. Want to see who it is? There's also possibly some enemy candles floating around in this land. Like this one could be an enemy candles. It could also just be a death or heat province. I can also see something a bit candly around about these parts. Yeah, right there. So I can start seeing the enemy here, here, and quite a lot of it up this way. I'm going to go check what's going on up this way. I'd like to still hold that province and or that province. Possibly that one, but I don't really want to be investing in grabbing this forest, maybe just the edges of it. So what I'm going to do is this turn, grab my final turn of only grabbing one province, and then I can send the mammoths this way, maybe the rest of that force that way. Whatever's coming out of here, I can like grab that or something is kind of the idea. My recruitment, looks like I have no gold because I'm still trying to get mammoths, but I'm back on the having some gold and getting some normal troops train. And I'm thinking next turn I might grab archers because the archers are going to be really good for these barbs, and I now see 2 of them. I wouldn't mind having this province at some point. I think that would be a good border with whatever's going on down here, so I could even have this one, possibly this cave entrance, and then leave him all these farmlands down here, something like that. So let me give you one more turn of expansion, then for the rest of this episode we can take a breather. I can talk to you a bit about my long-term strategies, this and that. But for now I'm going to grab the library and go back to recruiting in a more traditional capacity. So I'll see you guys next turn. Hey guys, this is turn 6, and I think it will be my last turn for today. I have a major battle, which should be pretty interesting to view, so I'll make sure I keep my frame rate up for this one. Let's take a look. Alright, so here's what I have. Some mammoths, some little guys, fair bit of them, but not that many because I lost a lot last turn. And he has a bunch of cavalry. And okay, the mammoths hit the cavalry a bit. Now they're getting mashed. I'm down to 2 at the moment. But here come the super guys. Alright. 3 dead mammoths, 2 fleeing. 5 cavalry, 6 cavalry still alive. Taking out some of my guys. He's lost a general. He's lost another general. He's routed. But there's still 4 cavalries in between me and with me in between them and their escape. There's one down. Hit by the prophet. Another one is down. Some fleeing going on around the edges here, or maybe they're chasing down the... Alright, so I took out every cavalry by hand. Most of the rest fled. Not bad. Let's see how it looks in terms of the dead. Alright. Yeah, aside from this is 360 gold worth of mammoths, but that's kind of what they were there for. The other casualties are very modest. 10 heavy cavalry down, and 3 mounted commanders kind of make it 13 heavy cavalry down. And yeah, it was heavy battle, but I was happy with it. The caretaker didn't kill anyone, but he wasn't scripted for that. I don't have the spells for that. So let's see how it turned out. Well, for the first piece of the puzzle, my caretaker fled. So my plan to build a lab today is dashed. But I think 1 turn late on this lab is not going to entirely destroy my strategy. Now, I'm kind of feeling like it's time to shift gears. One interesting thing, I've been looking at the turn a bit, is that these 2 mammoths who fled, they fled with their commander all together in a happy pile. And because they have a high map move, they can actually hit this province. So I'm going to send just them. I've been looking at this. And the 2 mammoths with a few flyers are hopefully, well, they have a good chance of taking out this particular province right here. So I'm going to do that. Now these 2 provinces both have just tribes, even this one as well, but they have these really high numbers of tribes. And in the Middle Age, which is what we're doing, these giant tribe provinces are a bit more scary than you'd expect. So I could probably have 22 guys here. And I have 17 guys here, plus the 5 who I'm gonna, plus these 5. And I could probably take out 2 separate provinces with them, but I'm kind of shifting gears now into not expanding at all costs high-riskly. So I'm instead going to drop them all into a massive expansion army right there. That should give me this, a big mountain with lots of air sites, and it's a portal to the underworld, so you could have all sorts of nasties popping out of there if I don't grab it, so I'm going to grab it. I could be getting this one as better gold, but this one should also have good gold. So I could probably, what I would be doing, if I wanted to grab 3 sites, is that, and that, and then that. But that would leave me kind of a bit stretched out. I've also taken a look with my scout at what's going on over here. Now we have middle-aged icacephaly. Not too dangerous a nation, but he's been talking a lot in the chat, and he says Ashdod is somewhere near him, so I'm guessing these are all deserts over here, so I'm guessing we're looking at some Ashdod over there. He also says that some province of his that he's encountered has Banelord defenders, so I'm wondering if that might not be this particular province right here. So this guy's going to jump over here. He's not going to get too far. I wouldn't mind seeing if there's someone up here before I call it a day for him, but he's mostly going to sit around trying to, because I was thinking of expanding here, another place that has a large amount of tribes, because I want to kind of cordon this place off. If I can get that and that, then there's no way of Archiscephali getting to this throne. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. That'll be still on my radar. But because he doesn't seem to be that invested to his east, and he's, according to the chat, been pushing quite a bit to the west. So I'm hopeful that I can get away with not expanding to my west. In terms of the south, it would be good to expand to the south, but I kind of care more about my east at the moment. I'd like to get up to this river with all the juicy farmland and mountains. So that's more or less my play. I'm going to move these. I'm going to compile a giant army. It will give me a chance to still have a flying general. This turn I won't be dropping a general in my capital. I'll be dropping this guy in my capital. So he is going to have a bit of a tricky situation because he can't fly. So what I will do is buy a bunch of archers and another of those. Next turn he can either move on this province or move on this province, basically. I'll show you that one next episode. But for right now I'm going to jump over to some longer term planning, something like that. I'll call this a day for in terms of showing you turn 6. Alright, so here's what it looks like at the end of turn 6, more or less. I have 7 provinces, mostly my cap circle, but I'm beginning to expand past it. I know one neighbor, but he doesn't necessarily know about me yet. I'm hoping to push out to my east. I've had my eye on the east, but the south could also be a very interesting place to go. In the west here I have a couple of key ambitions, but otherwise I'm happy to more or less leave it. But that seems to also be the case for my neighbor. So let's see how it goes with that. I, of course, am on a giant 58-player map, as I love to tell you, so I'm just a little guy here. But we have around 19 provinces each, so I'm hoping to expand far bigger than that. There aren't enough thrones per player, so I'm quite lucky to have one very close to my capital. I'm quite confident I'll be able to get that one. Otherwise, there's some quite a ways off. Also, I could jump into the... If I go into the cave network, I think to my south there might be some. No, there's not. Maybe. Okay. But anyway, I'll just worry. Oh, yes, this is a cave network that has some. So it's possible I'll go get some thrones in the cave. But birds are pretty bad in the caves. Let us take a look quickly at a couple of these score graphs. For someone who doesn't have an awake expander, my expansion has been very, very good. And I don't think I'll have any more turns of only one province expansion going forward. Very happy to see that. My income, it's, aside from the turn 1 was solid, otherwise it's been a bit modest. This turn as well is good, but I'm hoping to start cranking that up as I'm not just going to maximize my number of provinces anymore. Gem income has also been impressive because I got 3 gems just lying around on the ground. Research has been bad. That's another graph that I'm going to invest in now that I'm no longer worried so much about this particular graph. Forts, of course, I have that one, but it doesn't count until I grab it. So that's more or less it. Now let me jump you over to just some photos of my expansion to date using another program. This is one, if you know my channel, you've seen me use it before. So the first turn, of course, I got a bit lucky, and then I kind of leveraged that into getting that second one a bit early here. And then that is, for someone with no, as I said, for someone with no awake SC, that's pretty impressive. Here's a view of what I might have in mind in terms of my expansion goals. The blue dots, of course, I already have. The white ones are key locations. The yellow, well, the white ones are of key strategic concern to me right now. Yellow ones are high value, and the gray ones are other places I could have on my radar. So that's more or less it. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Ciao.